Today we're taking a look at Venezianico. If you're not familiar with Venezianico, they are an Italian brand. One of the things that they're most famous for is their bezels. They use tungsten carbide in their bezels, which is kind of unusual. However, they do pump out a lot of different watches that are very good in quality. And today they have made, I guess you would call it an improvement, but it's really not an improvement. They're using a thinner movement in one of their most popular watches, and that makes the watch overall thinner, a little bit smaller. So this is a watch that they've sort of listened to the public and made some changes to, so it's better for smaller wrists. This is their Nereide. It is their dive watch. I have one hands-on to show you guys. So let's flip the camera and take a look at a Venezianico redesigned for a smaller wrist. Venezianico, one of those brands you definitely should not be sleeping on. They're constantly improving their watches and thinking about their watches in different ways as well. They use different materials. They do some fun things as well. They came out with a coin dial watch. They recently came out with an off-center dial watch. They made an ultra black watch as well. The dial was made out of that paint, like a Vanta black paint, but it was a different brand. I forget the name, but they do lots of cool things with their watches, and they're thinking about them and improving them as well. This is the Nereide. This is their typical dive watch, but usually it's bigger, around 42 millimeters. This one is 38.9 millimeters at that bezel. So they have actually downsized this watch, and it's a little bit more affordable. It's actually cheaper than the other versions that are available with a Swiss-made movement. This gets a Japanese-made movement. It's a 9039, so a dateless version as well, and you're getting a thinner, smaller case that is more wearable for smaller wrists. However, you're getting all the same quality and all the same details that you get from the more expensive Swiss-powered dive watch. There are a few quirks about this dive watch that some may not like, but I'm going to go through all the specs and the details here. One of the things that I love about Venezianico is the bezel action. They have a very good bezel action because they put a lot of tungsten in their bezels. So this is a tungsten bezel on this watch, which you don't see very often. You don't really hear of brands using tungsten, and it's very heavy. It's scratch resistant. It looks really good. They polish it to a mirror finish, as you could see, and it's going to stay looking like this. Tungsten is a very strong metal. It looks great. It almost looks like ceramic, but it's not. And it makes for a really good bezel action. So let's listen to that. Excellent bezel action, really pronounced clicks. That's part because it's a very heavy feeling bezel. It's not tight, but it's not loose. It really is a nice bezel. I think they do a great job with the bezel action. The dial here, lots of little details. Again, you're getting a mother of pearl dial on a diver, which kind of works really well. You have applied indices. You have their applied logo. I love their logo. It's just a cross, and it says Venezianico at the top of the dial. Right below the 12 o'clock, you have beaver teeth for the 12 o'clock. They are stick indices or baton, whatever you want to call them. Those are filled with lume, usually liberally applied with lume. I don't know if the bezel is lumed. I know that the pip is lumed. You have a little triangle there. That's in a bluish color that matches that blue mother of pearl. Down at the bottom of the dial, it just says that it's a 200-meter dive watch, and you get the name of the watch right there as well. You have fence post hands. Those are segmented and again filled with lume. And you have a little bit of lume on the second hand. It's almost like a needle second hand, just a little bit of lume on there. And again, I like that because you can see the watch is working in the dark. 38.9 millimeters at the bezel. It's actually a little bit smaller at the case. It's around 38.7 millimeters is what I measured. You have crown guards here. I would say it wears like a 39 millimeter watch, but I'll show you that in just a few seconds. It is thin. It's a thin 200-meter watch. You do get a screwed-in case back and a screwed-in crown. The crown is signed with that cross, and it is very grippy, and you do have those crown guards as well. This is 10 millimeters thick. That's including the flat sapphire crystal that is slightly raised off of the bezel. So this measures in at 10 millimeters and you still get 200 meters of water resistance, which I think is excellent. You have about a 45 millimeter lug to lug. That is on the case. On the bracelet, it's around 55 millimeters. So that's probably my first point of criticism on this watch. I wish that they put female end links. If they put female end links here, this would bend down a little bit better. The 55 millimeters doesn't wear like that on the wrist, but it would be helpful for smaller wrists if this actually folded down better. The bracelet itself is a really nice bracelet. It's an H-link bracelet or an I-link bracelet, depending on what you want to call it, and it tapers really nicely. You have a double push button, butterfly clasp. You have this little extra tab, so you have to fold over one side and then the other. I guess that could be a complaint. The only complaint that I would make about the bracelet in general is that there is no half links and there is no diver's extension or micro adjust at all. If they put a diver's clasp on this, I think it would be a little bit more functional. Because of this, I would call this a dress diver, not a true dive watch. That's kind of their field though. I think they do this intentionally because they want to make dressy divers. That's kind of what they're into. And it kind of makes sense because there aren't that many dress divers coming out of micro brand spaces. A lot of divers that come out of micro brands are meant to be serious divers, spec monsters, and all of that. Because it doesn't have that heavy diver's clasp on the other end, it actually wears very comfortable on your wrist. Speaking of my wrist, I have a 7.5-inch wrist. Today I have on my Timex. This is the Timex James brand limited edition that recently came out. This sold out on the James brand website and the Timex website. Huckberry still have this available. It's a really cool watch that I absolutely love, and I have it on an aftermarket strap because I did not like the strap that it came on. There it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. I do want to make one correction at the bottom of the dial, right above that 6 o'clock position. It does say tungsten and then the name of the watch. It does not say 200 meters of water resistance, although this does get 200 meters of water resistance. It is a dressy diver, like I said. So a very functional watch, except for if you want a diver's clasp. But you could see it is also very thin, I think it was 10.2 millimeters thick is what I measured, including the sapphire crystal, which is slightly raised off of that tungsten bezel. Look at that. It's a 38.9 millimeter watch. I have a 7.5-inch wrist. You have a 45 millimeter lug span. That's on a strap on the bracelet. It comes out to about 55 millimeters, but it doesn't really bother my wrist at all. And I would imagine it doesn't bother that many smaller wrists either. Only if you get really small, this would be a problem for this watch. This is smaller and thinner than the ETA powered or Sellita powered version, and that's kind of what they were going for here. If they put female end links on here, it would wear even better on smaller wrists. Price on this watch is $765. That's currently on their website. I believe that is on a bracelet, and I think that comes with a strap. I'm not 100% sure about that, but definitely check it out on their website. I will put a link to their website down in the description below. Venezianico makes some of the best dive watches in the micro brand space. I think some of the best looking dive watches as well. I think this is a very good looking watch and it has very good lume, so let's check that out. There you go, very good lume on here. You can see that it's working in the dark. That second hand has just a little bit, a small rectangle of lume. You have a pip at the 12 o'clock, and then you have those beaver teeth at the 12 o'clock giving you orientation in the dark. Again, $765 for this watch, and you're getting a lot of functionality and a lot of style at the same time. I would say this is a great everyday, all-day watch. You can go swimming with this, go to the office. You have a very classic looking watch on your wrist with a couple of twists on the traditional dive watch with that tungsten bezel, and then of course that mother of pearl dial, which is a blue, silver. You get a little bit of green as well, although you wouldn't notice it unless you actually look at the watch. So it's there for you. It's not really that in your face mother of pearl. I really like this watch. I think that Venezianico in general do a great job, and they come out with some really cool watches on a regular basis. like this. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of Venezianico in general? I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.